Adobe versus Resolve / Blackmagic.
Now, it's no secret that Premiere Pro has been falling short for a lot of video creators lately.
I cannot be the only one who is so tired of Premiere crashing at the worst possible time.
Over the years, Premiere has gained a reputation as a program that is very prone to crashing.
It's time to get into a node-based compositing workflow.
Yeah. It looks like the time has officially come where I'm saying goodbye to the program that I've been using for almost 15 years of my life, and I honestly couldn't be happier about it.
After Effects needs to be rewritten from the ground up, or I'm not using this fucking program anymore.
Everybody seems to be switching over to DaVinci Resolve.
Why did I spend 10 years using Adobe Premiere Pro to then throw that all away and start using DaVinci Resolve?
I'm actually switching from Premiere Pro to DaVinci Resolve.
I want to talk to you about why I switched from Premiere Pro to DaVinci Resolve.
I've officially switched over to DaVinci Resolve for all my video editing stuff.
In my personal opinion, I think DaVinci Resolve is the best option out there for any kind of editor.
DaVinci Resolve is so stable.
It's so
and
good.
It's so smooth, and it uses all of my GPU.
You got Fairlight for audio, you have Fusion for compositing, and it's all very capable.
DaVinci over the years has been continuously making major improvements in all areas of the program.
Look at the landscape. Look at how pricing for video editing software has changed.
One of the most interesting things about DaVinci Resolve is that you can get a free version to start out with.
I mean, Blender's open source, Unreal's free, and so is Resolve. Resolve's free. Adobe's like, hey, you want access to our products? Well, pay us $52 a month.
Professional to me means I can rely on it for my business.
Goodbye, Adobe.
Hey everyone, how is everyone doing? It's an honor to be here for this immersive masterclass on video editing with DaVinci Resolve. My name is Kevin Blanco, and I am a former film school graduate, filmmaker, technical director, cloud architect, and currently I work as a DevRel Advocate in a company called AppSmith. Everyone, don't be shy. I see some people connected on LinkedIn, some people on YouTube, some people on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm going live on all of my personal accounts, and it's an honor to be here for everyone. The idea of this live streams is super simple. In my day-to-day, I work as a video editor, DevRel Advocate. I work with communities. I create content tailored for them. And I said, you know, if I have all of this knowledge from storytelling on how to share stories with people that captivates, and I'm doing all of that effort to bring all of that knowledge into AppSmith and all of the content that I'm doing for them, I said, why don't I just go live and show everyone how I do it? And so this is going to be super open. It's not going to be like scripted or anything like that. It's just going to be me editing a video so you can guys see what I do. And if you can get some value out of that, I'm going to be more than happy. If you have questions in the process of what I do, also ask your questions. Everything I'm going to do here is completely unscripted. There's nothing planned. I don't have anything planned for this video. I'm just going to, showcase my creative process. And as any creative process, nothing is scripted. No one will tell you this is the way to do things, because that's very personal. So I hope that from whatever you guys get from this live stream, you can learn something from your day-to-day. And if you have questions, just let me know. Actually, let me bring something else that I wanted to show you in a second. There you go. So you might wonder why I started the live stream video with a lot of famous filmmakers and editors who have been migrating over the past few years from Adobe Premiere or the Adobe Suite to DaVinci Resolve. And this is not related to anything against Adobe. I mean, I don't want this to be like a conversation against Adobe or anything. But come on, we have to address the big elephant in the room, which is DaVinci Resolve is completely free. It's a free forever software. And at least for the non-studio version, obviously. The studio version it has more like Hollywood catered features, and you might not need any of those, but still. The studio version is just $299 completely for life. You don't have to pay a subscription. So it's still very cheap, to be honest. So that alone means that having to use Adobe and pay upfront for a subscription just to give it a try on the software, that is a big draw card for many editors, particularly those who are starting and working on projects that doesn't really require like advanced features. So with DaVinci Resolve, you can get access to a powerful suite of tools for editing, color grading, visual effects, and studio post-production without the need for expensive software subscriptions. So if you compare like DaVinci to other editors like Adobe, you'll need to group Adobe Premiere for editing, Adobe After Effects for special effects, Adobe Audition for professional audio control, Adobe Media Encoder for professional encoding, and Adobe doesn't really have like a specialized software for color grading. They have some stuff on Adobe Premiere, but it's not that powerful as DaVinci Resolve. So all of that and much more is what DaVinci provides. So I'm going to open DaVinci. You're going to see what it is. If you wanted to download it, you can go ahead and do it and maybe rewatch the video afterwards or do it as I'm doing it. But again, the suite is very big, so don't feel scared at the beginning if you feel that it's a lot of tools in one single place. We'll go easy. This is going to be every week. Today we're just starting, so feel fresh. Get some water and get comfortable. Actually, I wanted to show you guys this. So there you go. That's a small showcase of what DaVinci Resolve is. It's like, you can see many Hollywood movies has been edited and all these special effects has been done with DaVinci Resolve. So I just wanted to show you how powerful this tool is, and it's completely available to you right now. You can download it for free. So go to Google, download DaVinci Resolve. It's free and it should be running on most of the normal computers. I don't have like a super powerful computer. I just have a MacBook Pro. That's what I edit on my day-to-day. I actually have like a gaming computer that is very powerful, but honestly, I just can't get along with Windows. It doesn't really work for me. So I'm just editing on my Mac, and actually want to show you guys like a little bit of my setup. I have my GoPro here, and just being completely transparent and honest of my setup, I'm streaming with the Blackmagic 18 Mini Pro. This is like a streaming console. I can control of my cameras, audio, transitions, etc. From here. I can show you a little bit more about how to stream with this. If you want it, just let me know in the chat, and I can talk about that. Here's my microphone. This is me. Hey, everyone. That's my camera over there. Is the Blackmagic Cinema camera. I have my key light here on the top, and I have some other lights used for separation of the background, etc. So that's it. I don't really have like a big fancy setup, and that's what I normally do for streaming. So if you want to also know about how do I do my streamings, just let me know. We can get into that. But all right, let's jump into what we came here, which is DaVinci Resolve. Once you open DaVinci Resolve, you'll probably see something like this. It will prompt you for your first project name, and you can just put whatever name you have. And the first thing you'll notice, or the first thing I want you to notice, is that there's tabs at the bottom of the application. And actually, I think I can show the icons and the labels. There you go. You have media, the cut page, the edit page, the color page, the fusion, the Fairlight, and the deliver. And the way they did this is because the idea is this is like a workflow. You start with your media by bringing your media, understanding the type of content you have, and just making sure that everything is aligned in the way you want. You will see the specifications of your media, like the frame rate, color signs, etc. We can talk about that later on. And then you go to the cut page. Once you bring all your media to DaVinci Resolve, you go to the cut page, and in this page, the idea is that you cut the pieces of the videos that you care about. Now, you will see that I do a lot of mistakes. I'm not ashamed about it. When I'm recording, I make a lot of mistakes. I don't use like a teleprompter or anything. I just say whatever comes to my mind, and I tend to stop a lot. So on my videos, I don't play pause or anything like that. I just have a full video where I say everything I want, and then I come here to the cut page and I grab the pieces, or I take the pieces that I want. But we're not going to be cutting in the timeline here. We're just going to be selecting or telling DaVinci Resolve, hey, this is the pieces of the videos that I care. Now, you can do that also on the edit page, but the idea of the workflow is that you get a sense of the pieces of the videos that you really want to bring to your timeline. And then there's the third tab, which is the edit page. This is where you're going to be probably spending most of the time. And if you have used any video editor in the past, like CapCut or Adobe Premiere or something like that, this is going to be probably what you're going to be investing most of your time, because you have your timeline here at the bottom, and there's where we're going to be constructing our video. Literally, we'll be bringing the videos that we care into the timeline. We're going to have multiple layers in this timeline, both video and audio, so we can bring multiple pieces of audio and multiple pieces of video in the single timeline. And then we'll be constructing the video for the next steps. The other one is Fusion. I don't think we're going to be spending too much time here, to be honest, because this is extremely powerful page, because this is for special effects, and there is a whole specialization on this particular thing. But we can cover a bit of Fusion. I can show you an example of what I do with Fusion, but this is for special effects. Then you have the color page. This might be scaring at the beginning, but it's super easy. I will explain to you. This is probably my biggest specialization. I'm actually specialized in color grading, and I'm a certified colorist. And most of these tools are just to make sure that the color of your videos looks the way that you want. And what I say the way that you want is that you can define pretty much everything you want in your videos in terms of color science, how they're going to look. You can also do very specialized things, like, for example, skin tones, doing masks, color treatments for layers. I'm going to show you, and I'm also invite you to go to my YouTube, because I'm going to be publishing videos every week about this. For example, I want to create a video actually for next week about relight, and relight is a very interesting thing, because it allows you to actually put fake lights into your videos. Like, for example, if you don't have this setup that I have, for example, with videos, with lights, but you do want to have like a light behind you or something like that, you can add fake lights afterwards, and it's extremely powerful. So we will be elaborating more on this topic in the future. Then you have Fairlight. This is purely audio. Here you will control your audio, you will have your mixer, you will do special effects for your audio. We're not going to go in deep in this session of this, but we can elaborate further in other videos about this. And then the delivery page. This is where we export our video. There's a lot of settings here that are important, because not only making a good video is important, but also delivering it in the best way possible, depending on what format, depending on what medium you're going to be using. If it's YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, depending on what you're going to be publishing, there's definitely different criteria that you should be using to deliver your video. But we'll talk about that later on. If you have questions in the chat, just let me know. Don't be shy. I don't see anyone saying anything on the chat. I just saw Joseph. Hey, Joseph, good to see you, man. Sophia, I actually talked to Sophia yesterday. I had a nice conversation with her. But yeah, let's get started. So normally what I do is I bring my videos. Like I said, the videos and the audio that I'm going to be using. in my personal workflow, I record the audio using GarageBand, and I export that audio uncompressed using WAV format. Now, depending on the setup you have, you might record your audio directly in the same video medium you are using. If it's your camera, your phone, whatever, the audio are going to be coming straight from that source. But if you have an external microphone, I recommend that you record the video separately with any video software. In this case, GarageBand comes pre-installed in any MacBook. If you're on Windows, there are multiple softwares to record audio, and that can be exported in an uncompressed way. The thing is, uncompressed audio will be better than compressed audio, obviously. I don't want to go too much into details about this, but long story short, uncompressed, raw is always better than formats like MP4, MP3, because it's already compressed, so you cannot get too much information out of that. So long story short, I have my audio and my video separately. So all I do pretty much is just drag and drop what I want. And you can find your media here. You will see your hard drives here on the left. So you can find your media here on the left. But normally what I just do is, go to my folder in my Finder and just drag and drop what I want. So I'm going to be bringing a few files in here. And once you bring those files in it, some things might happen. In this case, nothing happened, but DaVinci Resolve is going to take a look at the frame rate of those videos and the frame rate of your project. Now, let's talk about frame rates. If you don't know what frame rate is, it's super simple. A video at the end is just a set of different photography put together in an amount of frames per second. So depending on the amount of pictures that were taken on a second by the shooter in the camera, that's going to define the frame rate. Frame rate is important because it gives a feel to the video, and people don't notice it, but when they're watching like news or broadcast TV, normally that has a different frame rate from a film. They go to the movies and watch it, and frame rates actually impact how we feel video. Long story short, my recommendation will be shoot at 30 frames or 24 frames per second. Now, if you want to do slow motion or something like that, you can go to a higher frame rate. But and if you don't know what your camera is shooting, probably it's going to be shooting around those frames. So don't worry about that. If you don't know about this, that's fine. You don't have to care about that. But DaVinci Resolve will take a look at that and will say, hey, it looks like your timeline is on a different frame rate as the videos you're importing. And they will give you the option to say, hey, I want to change my timeline resolution and frame rate to the one that the videos I'm bringing. Or you can say, no, I don't care. I have my videos on 60 frames per second, but I'm going to be using my resulting video is going to be 24 frames per second. Again, don't worry too much about that, but just in case it pop-ups, that's what it means. Once I bring my files, I have here my audio. I have two videos. One is I'm going to be editing a social media format video. And here you can get a preview of the video and also the audio here on the right. And once you click a video, you will see some information on the right. For example, the codec that is that's created. In this case, this video is recorded on Apple ProRes 422. You shouldn't care about that much, but you will see probably H.265, H.264, or whatever. Then you will see the frame rate. In this case, is 24 frames per second, and the resolution, which is around 4K. And then the codec and the hertz, but you don't have to care about that much. The other thing I will encourage you to do once you bring your files is define the project settings. And the way you do that is you will see, and let me see if I can actually go full screen here so you don't see my face. There you go. On the very low corner on the right, there is a small gear icon. Once you click that, you will go to the project settings, and that will showcase the project settings. Now, I don't know why in this stream you cannot see the project settings. Probably because I'm just streaming my DaVinci Resolve screen, and that's like a pop-up. Let me see if I can bring it on a different screen so you can guys see it. But once that pop up, what you will see is, let me see if I can share that, because that will be really important. There you go. There you go. That's the project settings. So it's like a different screen. I don't know why DaVinci does that, but anyway, that's the project settings of your video. Now, what I care the most about it is the resolution. That's going to be the final result of your video. You can change it afterwards, don't worry, but that's going to be like you want it to be high definition, 4K, 720p, etc. That's what you define here. DaVinci Resolve, the free version, will have up to 4K, but in the studio version, like the one that I have, you can export to Ultra HD, 8K Ultra, what have you. I don't think you're going to need this, so that's fine. You can export all up to 4K. Now I'm going to be selecting HD because that's very standard. You can also define whatever values you want in here. And then if you're going to be you're going to be making a vertical video for social media like TikTok or Instagram, you can just toggle this here, use vertical resolution, and the timeline will be in a vertical format. I'm not going to be doing that right now. And then the frame rate, like I said, here you will define what frame rate you want for this video. Normally, I keep it to 24. I like it 24. But you can do 30. 30 is really good for live streamings and videos. YouTube 30 looks nice. So whatever you want, 24, 30, that's up to you. Sophia is asking, why should I have my audio and video separately and how? So again, it's because you can separately have better quality. If you record, for example, on a microphone like the one that I have right now, you can have better quality of that audio, and you can make treatments. I will show you in the future videos how you can do, for example, voice isolation. If there's a lot of background noise in where you are shooting, probably you're not in a studio. I'm not in a studio. I'm in my house. My dog is here. There's probably noises sometime, and I don't have like a soundproof room. I don't think any of you do, and if you do, because for you, but normally we're going to have noise and things like that. So with a software like GarageBand, you can do noise gate to reduce the noise around you. And in DaVinci Resolve, I can explain this to you later. It's like a 2-click settings. You can do voice isolation to isolate your voice and separate it from the noise. It's kind of hard to do that when you have audio that is not uncompressed. So uncompressed audio is better than compressed audio. The same with video. Like if I'm shooting just the video and not the audio, the camera doesn't have to care about that. Normally camera audio is pretty bad. Like, I mean, it's fine, but it can be really bad. So I wouldn't recommend do that. And you can find a microphone, an external microphone anywhere, like in Amazon or your local audio store. And you can put it close to your mouth. You can have good synthesis of your voice, and it's going to sound better. You're going to get deeper hertz of your voice, and it's going to be much better to edit. So long story short, try to get separated audio and video if you can. If not, you can still work it out. The other thing I care about here is color management. Now, I'm not going to go into details about this, but if you're going to be editing on a Mac OS system, you might want to do the timeline color space to be Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. I'm going to be making a separate video just about color spaces in Gamma, but what this means is just basically what type of color spectrum you will be working on your video. Now, it turns out that for some reason, Apple is very bad when exporting the color signs of your video. And if you don't define what type of gamma you're going to be defining, there's something called gamma shifting. And what this means is that when you're editing the video, you will see the colors in a way, but once you export it, it looks in a different way. You don't have to care about this at all, but all I'm telling you is just make this a small change if you're on a Mac, because the colors of the ending result video might look pretty bad, and that's because Apple does something called gamma shifting. Again, I can explain this later, but if you're on a Windows system, don't care about that. Rec 709 is perfect, or the default settings are perfect. You don't have to change anything. We can talk later about color spectrum like Rec 709, Y gamma, and things like that. That's a whole different world, and it's super interesting, but really don't care about that right now. And that's all it matters from project settings. Like you can do other things, like for example, defining the proxy media resolution. We can talk about proxies later on. But proxies is just a copy of your videos that are in a smaller resolution for editing. Now, DaVinci Resolve can be heavy, that's true. And if you bring a lot of videos, the editing experience can be slow sometimes. So if you create proxy or optimize media, what DaVinci is going to do is create a copy of your videos on a lower resolution, on a lower quality, and use that for editing once the video is exported, it's going to use the original files. But when editing, doing proxies is normally good. I do proxies because I record on a cinema camera in RAW format. So those files can be heavy, like just 1 minute video can be 10 gigabytes. So editing that is crazy on a timeline. It just gets stuck. So I created proxy media, and here you can choose whatever format you want. If you leave it as it is, it's perfect. Actually, DaVinci Resolve makes great quality proxy media. And that's it. Just hit save and you will be ready to start working on your project. Now, let me go back to the other screen here, the actual DaVinci Resolve screen. Now that we saw the settings of the project. There you go. I have a question here. I have audio and video separately. Will it be difficult to sync the voice and video and remove certain parts? No, I'm going to show you how I do that just in a second, actually. Really simple. Let me get some water. So here's my video in horizontal way. And here's my audio of everything I recorded in that video is separately. So I'm going to go to the edit page, to the cut page. In the cut page, there you will be able to see all the information of your media. Here it is. Like I said, you can grab the portions of the video that you care about in this particular timeline. So here you will be able to see all the video and you will be able to cut the pieces that you care. So for example, here you have the waveform of this video, of the audio, and I can just watch the video and say, this is the pieces that I care. How do I cut the pieces that I care? It's extremely simple. You just, this thing that is on color red here that I move, it's called playhead. I'm not going to say that word a lot because the playhead is where I'm positioning myself in the video. So all you have to do is position the playhead at the beginning of the portion you want and press the I key. Or you can just bring it here and move it where the place that you want to start. But I prefer just using the I key button. So let's say I start here, press the I button. And as you can see, that's where the video or the portion of the video that I want is going to start. And I do the same at the end. So I watch the video. This is the portion that I care. And I'm going to press the O button in my keyboard. And there you go. That's just going to be the piece of that specific video that I'm going to be cutting for my timeline. Now, again, I'm not cutting this video. I'm just telling DaVinci Resolve, this is the portions that I care. Now, for big videos like actual feature films or actual documentary, this is key because once you go to the edit page, you will have to go through all of your videos and see which portions you care. So normally what I do is on large projects, I do this process on the cut page. I just grab my videos, see what portions I care, the other portions I don't. And once we go to the edit page, which is what I am going to be moving right now, you will see that if I click the video, and let me actually make the thumbnails bigger here. Once I click my video, you will see that the portion I selected in the previous page is already pre-selected. So I can drag and drop that portion of the video to my timeline. And that's all I have to do. So you can also do that from the edit page. And that's something that I normally do for short videos like the one that I'm doing right now. Normally what I do is I just see the video. And I don't know if you can guys see or hear the audio from this video. But here I am preparing to say something and trying to think about what I'm going to say. So I can see that I start here. So I'm going to press the I key. Boom, I key. So there you go, how it changed. You see this little line here? That's what is going to be changing. And then I'm going to be bringing all the way to where I stop. There I stop. So I'm going to just grab that portion here. Or what I can do is just bring everything to my timeline and then cut in the timeline. That's up to you. I mean, I'm not giving you like a Bible here of editing. It's up to you. And actually, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to bring the whole video. You know what? I'm going to bring the whole video, but that's how you do it. You're just using the I button, start of the portion you want, and the O button, the end of the portion you want. They're next to each other, so it's very simple. I'm going to bring the entire video. Now, how do I bring videos to my timeline? You can just drag and drop it like I just doing right now. And DaVinci Resolve is going to bring the video and the audio. Now, you just want the audio or the video. Let me delete this and show you how you can do that. you can see that when I move my mouse, there is these two icons in here. The first one is going to be allowing me to bring just the video, but not the audio. And the same, but with the audio. I can just bring the audio to my timeline, but the video is not going to be there. Or I can just bring my video to my timeline and the audio won't be there. But I'm going to be bringing both to my timeline because I want to sync the audio just in a second. So here's my video. This is the timeline. This is where, like I said, you will be spending most of your time doing cuts, transitions, putting more things on the timeline. This is probably the biggest portion of your editing experience. Like you just saw, I just drag and drop my video and I can see the video in my timeline. I can put the playhead anywhere I want in my video. Now, one thing you will notice is that we have audio and video tracks here on the right, on the left. This is the video 1 track. I can put it a name I want. Normally I don't make any changes. And this is my audio track. I can have multiple tracks, and I actually like to make tracks a bit smaller because we're going to be adding more tracks in a second, so you can see how we can put B-roll videos, or how we can put other sound effects and things like that. So make sure that you understand that you can have multiple videos on different tracks. And actually, just an example, I can just grab this video and put it on a second track, and DaVinci Resolve will create a second video track. And now obviously what's on the top is going to have more weight than the ones underneath. So as you can see, this vertical video is on the top of my video here, and I can see those two videos when I play my timeline. But let me delete that. All I wanted to show you is you can have as many tracks as you want, and normally a very standard project might have around 6 tracks on video and maybe 3 to 4 tracks on audio. One is the voice that I have, one is the effects like the whooshes and things like that. I'm going to show you in a second. The other one is the music track. So you can have as many tracks as you want. That's all I care. The second thing I want you to understand is once you bring a video to a timeline, that video in the timeline have their own preferences, and you can change that. Now, that's not going to change the actual preferences or the actual video, the original source. It's just the video on the timeline. Let me just give you an example. Once you click this video on the timeline, you will see that it becomes like color red. On the right, you have all of the preferences. You will see that it has a lot of tabs. For example, the video tab, the audio tab. Now, we don't have effects on this video, but once we add effects, you will see the effects preferences, and also like the file preferences itself, or the file information. Here you can see the same thing we saw on the first page. So for example, you can transform any of these preferences. For example, the zoom. So let's say you want to show this video, I don't know, in the right corner of your video. Maybe you're creating a tutorial on how to do something. You record your screen, you record yourself, and you want to put yourself on the right corner. So you can reduce the zoom on this video or the size of this video using the zoom property. And then you have the other preferences, which is the position. Here I have position on the Y axis, sorry, on the X axis, and then on the Y axis. Also, you have the rotation angle. Here you can rotate your video. Then you have your anchor point. I can explain anchor point later on, but that we can do animations with this. Very interesting. I will show you that. Then you have the pitch. And as you can see, it goes very weirdly when you change the pitch, but depending on the transition you're doing, you might want to change the pitch. And then you have the yaw, which is the same preference, but on the left and right. Also, you can flip the video, like for example, maybe you want to record it, want to show it like in a mirror way. You can flip it vertical or flip it horizontal. But anyway, I'm going to put everything back to 0 because I don't really want to make any changes to this now. But I wanted to show you that you can do that. My zoom has to be on 1. There you go. And let me change the flip and also the jaw. There you go. We're back on track. Now, like I said, everything will be on the right. All of the properties for each unique video or each unique element on the timeline, you define its preferences on the right. We will be taking a look at more at this later on. I actually want to show you dynamic zoom because I use that a lot of my videos, and it's really a really useful way to make zooming in and out and keeping people interest on your video. So I will show you that in a second. Also, we can do lens correction, composite, the opacity, multiple things. You can play around with this. Don't be afraid. You can choose. Actually, I could use this button right here whenever I make changes and you feel like you're screwing up things. You can just do this and reset everything back to normal. Other thing I will show you later on are keyframes. Keyframes is a way to make like animations or transitions on your videos based upon all of these preferences, but I will show you that later on. Don't worry about that. So in my case, I brought all my video to the timeline. It's a large video. I could have just cut the pieces I want and bring it to my timeline, each piece, or I can just bring everything and start cutting on the timeline. That's up to you. I had a question from Vishal. Can we do multiple portions of cuts we want in one go? Yes, you can do that in the cut page. You can have multiple cuts on one single page, on one single video, sorry. So for example, here I have my video and I can have multiple cuts here. I can just make a cut in here and create multiple pieces of the video that I want. And then on the edit page, I will just bring that into my timeline and that's it. But again, it's just the tool, whatever you want. Now, syncing audio and video. That's probably one of the most features that I use. There's a video on my YouTube channel explaining how to do that, but I'm going to show you. It's super simple. Here I have my original video. This is the audio from my iPhone, and actually I wanted to let you know that this video I'm editing, I recorded on my phone, on my iPhone. This is not done with my camera. This is done with, sorry, with my cinema camera. It's done with my iPhone. I wanted to use my iPhone footage because I want you to see how good results you can get from a phone using the Blackmagic Cinema Camera application. Now, that's other thing I didn't mention, but I don't shoot on my phone using the camera application. Let me actually share my screen on another tab so you can see what I want to show you very quickly. Where is, here it is. Here's the website, the Blackmagic website. Here you can download DaVinci Resolve, like I said, just download the free version. But there is also the Blackmagic camera for your phone. Now, this is right now only available on iOS systems, but it's going to be available on Android. Blackmagic said that they're working on that, so I expect that to be available soon. But the cool stuff about the Blackmagic Cinema Camera on your phone is that you can use most of the capabilities on a camera, like changing the ISO, which is the exposure to the light, changing the white balance, the tint, the shutter speed, the frames per second, and even the lens zoom on the camera itself. And the results are incredibly better than just the standard camera on your phone. So if you have an iPhone, this application is completely free, and I recommend you use this to record your videos. Also, the cool stuff about this is that you can record directly to an external hard drive. So normally what I do is I connect my external hard drive to my phone using my USB-C connection or whatever connection you have. And in the Blackmagic camera, you can define where you want the files to be stored. So once I hit record, I say what I want, I just unplug my external SSD and I put it on my computer, and that's where I edit from. So definitely I recommend you to use this application. It's not hard to use, and I can create another video later on how to use the Blackmagic camera on your phone. But again, if you have an iPhone, definitely take a look at it because the results are going to be better, and you're going to have better color results to work with, better video quality to work with, and that's always better quality on your videos. So, and I don't work for Blackmagic. Don't think that I'm being paid for this. Hopefully, I wish Blackmagic will be sponsoring me, but no, they're not. This is just a great company, actually. Anyway, going back to the editing experience here. Like I said, I record this video on my iPhone, okay? And as you can see, the color of the video, it looks kind of weird. And that's because normally what I do is that I record using a log color spectrum. We can talk about that later on, but at the end, a logarithmic color spectrum or a color science basically is not going to be saving any contrast information on the video. And what the end result of this is that you will have better dynamic range to work with. This can be an extensive topic. I don't want to bore you with this, but long story short, you can have more information on your video to work with. And I'll show you later on how you can make this flat color video look nice. It's just 2 clicks away, so don't worry about that. But again, if you record with your iPhone, your camera, that's fine. If you record with your Android camera, the standard camera, that's fine. Don't worry. DaVinci Resolve will also work with those files. Don't feel obligated to do any of this. So we're here, and I have my audio here. Here is the full voice audio. Now, normally what we will do is just hear the voice and try to match it with the video. But there's actually a much easier way to do this. All I have to do is bring my audio source to the timeline and just put it on another track. So here I have the audio coming from the iPhone video, and this is the audio I recorded using GarageBand. As you can see, this one is .wav. It's an uncompressed file, and the other one is a .mov. It's part of the video, it's baked on the video. And if we hear both audios on a much higher level in terms of the hertz, you will see that the one that we recorded uncompressed is definitely better. It has better quality. So how do we sync those stuff? Very easy. Just click the audio and the video, click the other source, pressing the command or the shift if you're on Windows, or just select everything. And now you will right click and you will find the option called auto align clips. Auto align clips. And there you will see an option called based on waveform. So what DaVinci is going to be doing is analyzing the waveform. The waveform is just the sound peaks that you see on your audio, and it's going to match them basically using the waveform. And that's super easy to do. All you have to do is click. DaVinci Resolve will analyze its content, and it will align the audio that you bring to the older audio track to the audio of your camera. Now, how do I delete the audio from the camera? As you can see, we have the audio track and the video track. But if we click the video track, both things are selected. You can see that when I click the audio track, the video and the audio is selected, and that's because they are linked, okay? When you bring a video to your timeline, DaVinci Resolve links both. So if I move this video around, both things are going to be moving, but I don't want that to happen. So all I have to do is right click, and you will see this option called link clips. And then when you do that, or you can also just use this icon right here, as there is this like a hyperlink icon over here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's like a like a hyperlink link. You just click that and it will be linking or unlinking that audio and that video. So now when I click on the video, it's just going to be the video. As you can see, I can move my video around and the audio won't move. It's because DaVinci unlinked those two. So now I can select the audio on the track number 1 and delete that. And now I can select my video and then pressing the command button or the shift button on Windows, I can select the audio from the external source that we brought and do the same. Just link those two. So now when I move the video on my timeline, also the audio is going to be moving. And I don't know if you guys can hear on the transmission. I will try to make sure I can test that out on my next live stream. But right now, when I play my video and I'm hearing this on my headphones, I don't know if you can hear it on the actual live stream, the video and the sound are matching together, and it's just 2 clicks away. Extremely simple. So now I can start doing my cuts. One thing it will be super useful for you is zooming in and out in your timeline. That's done with command plus and minus. If you're on Windows, it's going to be shift plus or shift minus. And that's how you zoom in into your timeline. Also, you can use this little control here, and this allows you to like zoom in your timeline to be able to have more granular control of the thing. So for example, I can zoom out, bring the video to the beginning, and then I put my playhead here. And so here I'm just preparing. I don't want this piece of the video. And that's where I talk. That's where I start talking. And you can see that on the waveform in the audio. Like you can see that here I'm just breathing on my microphone very weirdly and trying to think what I'm going to say. and here's where I start talking. So here I want to make a cut. How do I make a cut? Very simple. There's two ways. The first one and the most easier one is with the keyboard, and you're going to be pressing Command B. Okay, B, or you just press the B button, and you will see that the mouse icon will change to something different. And also this icon here will become red. That means you're in the cut mode or the blade edit. That's why the B button is, because it's called blade. So the blade is to cut your video. So all you have to do is, make a cut here, and that DaVinci Resolve will make a cut on that specific portion, and I can go back to the normal selection by pressing the A button or going back to the selection mode in this icon here. So I'm back to the selection mode, because if I'm staying on the B mode, in the blade mode, if I click here, also another cut is going to happen. So that's going to be super weird to you. You don't want to make all of those cuts. So A and B is how I change between those modes. Normally I do it with my keyboard. So this portion right here, I don't want, because that's where I'm just breathing weirdly. So all I have to do is just click the delete button on my keyboard, and boom, that's gone. So I'm going to bring this to the initial portion of my video, and that's it. For example, maybe I want a transition at the beginning of this video. One thing you can do is, I don't know if you can see this, but at the very beginning of the video, and I'm going to zoom in more, you can see there is like a little white icon. If you click that and you keep it clicked and you drag and drop it, DaVinci Resolve will create a very nice transition from dark to your video. So once you play this, see how you have that cross dissolve transition. You can make it larger or smaller so it doesn't look super slow. There you go. That can work as a nice transition. Now, other things you can do is use the transitions that DaVinci Resolve comes with. And there are a lot of built-in transitions in DaVinci Resolve, like way a lot, and they're really nice. So how do you find those transitions? On the left. Here you will see in your toolbox the video transitions, the audio transitions, titles, we will be using titles soon, generators, we can use generators soon, effects, we will be using effects soon as well, and other stuff. So on the video transitions, you will see all of the video transitions that DaVinci Resolve comes with. And by moving the mouse over the transition, you will see a preview of how that transition looks. So here's the adaptive dissolve. It looks very similar to what we did. Then you have the blur dissolve, which is similar but in a blur way. Cross dissolve, which works a lot between two videos. We will give it a try soon. And then you have all of this iris, which is really interesting. Cross iris, diamond iris, eye iris, what have you. Then you have the motion like barn door, push, slide, split. There are a lot of transitions. Like you can give it a shot to any of those that you want. Normally, one that I use a lot, to be honest, is the zoom in and the rotate. And actually, let me bring the rotate. Here's the rotate. So I normally use the rotate 90 degrees. So all I have to do is select that and drag and drop it to the portion of the video that I want. And there you go. DaVinci, you will see a visual indication that here is a transition. And if you click this transition, you will see, like everything else in DaVinci Resolve, the properties on the right, the duration, how many frames it's going to be having. But you can control also the length of that transition by moving the end of the transition back and forth. So if you want like a very quick rotate, like that, you can make it shorter or you can make it larger if you want it to be like super awkward and long. Normally, I found that the standard timing for each transition that DaVinci Resolve puts is good enough. Also, another thing I do is I use a lot of audio effects, because that helps to make the video more interesting. You don't want just you talking. So actually, on the chat, and for those who are watching the live stream all the way until now, this is going to be a bonus gift to you. I'm going to be sending on the chat a link to a nice package of audio transitions that I normally use on my videos. This nice package, it has whooshes, risers, and you can use that for transitions on your videos. Actually, let me bring that to my own DaVinci Resolve here. One thing I also like to do when I'm editing on DaVinci Resolve is creating folders. Normally, I don't just bring my audio and my videos. I normally create folders to organize them. But since we're doing this video, I just drag and drop everything. But normally, I will create a new bin by just right-clicking here, new bin. This is like a folder, and here I will put my audio. Another bin, and I will put my audio effects, and also for music and things like that. And here my audio effects, I will bring all the effects that I have. So for example, I have this punchy whoosh, which is like a whoosh. I don't think you can hear it. Hopefully, maybe you will, but it's like a whoosh. So I normally put that when I make transitions like the ones which was added to the video, because it makes things nice. So let me just drag and drop this and put it on a separate audio track, sorry. And I'm going to put it on the middle of the rotation effect. So once the video starts, the rotation effect is going to kick in and it's going to sound whoosh. So that actually is a good effect, and that makes the start of the video really nice. Other thing I do a lot is jump cuts. Now, unfortunately, we live in a world where social media has been burning the people's brain with all of this dopamine on these videos. So we have to make videos that are engaging for people. One thing that is very subtle, but it helps a lot, is making jump cuts. Jump cuts is a way to, instead of just talking on your videos and each of the pauses you do, you keep them, you delete the pauses. So it makes the video faster, and it keeps people engaged. And on each of the jump cuts, you can put an audio effects like the ones that I share with you. And also you can use zooming in and zooming out to keep people interested. Now, this works a lot for social media videos like Instagram or TikTok. You're making a tutorial for YouTube. Maybe you don't want to overuse that, but sometimes can be useful to make jump cuts. Or at the end, a cut is just a way to remove a piece of the video that you don't want. So here I'm talking on the video, and I'm telling something important in this video. Actually, what I'm doing is, this video is going to be airing next week. Actually, this video is about Hollywood techniques that you can steal from movies to your videos. So I'm going to be talking about Pulp Fiction, about The Godfather, about Interstellar, and many cinematographer approaches that you can steal to your videos. So actually, in this introduction, what I'm telling is, Hollywood keeps people engaged. That's why people love to watch movies, and you can steal that to your videos. And I'm going to be giving you 6 tips on how you can do that. So normally in this introduction, I keep it short under one video and interesting. And normally what I do is I use the zoom, and I start to make a very subtle zoom to my face, and then I go back and I make a jump cut. And then I do the same, but backwards. I make a cut and I start close to my face, and then I start to fade away or to step away, and then another jump cut. And normally I make those cuts every 5 seconds, 10 seconds, depending on what I'm talking about. So I'm going to show you how I do it. It's very simple. So for example, here I have a pause where I breathe. And you can see that in the waveform. Sorry, you can see that in this portion here. I'm just breathing, and that's information that we don't need. So I'm going to make a cut over there. Again, press the B button, cut over there, and then I go to the portion where I start talking again, which is here. And I just press B, or the other command, which is faster, Command B. Command B makes a cut in that portion over there. Now I go back to selection mode, pressing the A button, delete this portion, and I have a jump cut. And I just bring the video back to next to this video. And DaVinci Resolve has this like, it's called snapping. The snapping is basically a way that allows you to snap things so you don't override that portion. So it snaps next to that video. It's super useful. So that's my jump cut. So what I'm going to be doing is at this portion right here at the beginning, I'm going to be doing a small close up to my face, and when the jump cut happens, it's going to be back to the video properties that it had at that moment. Remember, every video on the timeline has its own properties. So if I make a change on this video, is that going to affect this other video? Because we make a cut, and once we made a cut, now they're two separate videos. So if I zoom in on this video here, like here, that's not going to be applying to this first portion of the video. There you go. It's a zoom to my face. So what I'm going to be doing is on this one right here, I'm going to be using the dynamic zoom property here. The dynamic zoom you can find once you click the video on the timeline on the right, and the dynamic zoom allows you to make like a dolly zoom to your face or to whatever portion of the video you want. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do. So once you enable that by clicking that little button here next to the dynamic zoom text. You will see some options. You can have what type of ease animation you want. You want linear, ease in, ease out, sorry, or ease in out. I normally keep it to linear, and then you can define if you want the zoom in to be from the outside to the inside or backwards, from the zoom in position all the way out. So normally I want it from the outside to the inside. So I swap. And as you can see, once we play the video, there is a very subtle zoom happening to my face. And once that goes to the next cut, there you go. The cut makes it going back to the original portion. So that's very interesting because it keeps people interested into what I'm talking about. And what I don't know if you can hear what is being played on DaVinci Resolve right now, but it's basically saying Hollywood strategies for keeping people engaged are really important, and you can steal those. So once I say you can steal those, that's where I make the cut, zoom out, and that's where I make a nice jump cut transition to, keep people interest. How do I modify that zoom in and out? You see this little icon here? This is where you can change the mode of how you're watching or editing the video on the timeline. Now, normally it's on transform, because that's the basic. You can transform your video by just, doing this transformation here. But you can change that by pressing this little drop down here and change to the dynamic zoom mode. Here you will change how the dynamic zoom is going to happen. So now you will see on the timeline video two squares. The first one is the green one. The second one is the red one. The green one is the beginning of the transition. The red one is the end of the transition, where the zoom is going to end. So you can change that. So for example, if I click the red square, and now you can see it's selected, I can, for example, make it even closer to my face. So now this is going to look very awkward. Once we play the video, let's play it. As you can see, the zoom is even more noticeable now. And boom, in the jump cut, it goes back. So you can change that by using these controls right here. You can also move it around. So for example, maybe you can have the start to be a little bit off to the left, and then the red square a little bit to the left, and the green one to the right. And now the zoom is not going to be only to my face, but also it's going to be moving from the left to the right. Let's give it a shot. Let's play the video. There you go. So that's how you control the dynamic zoom position. Now, if you want it to be backwards, again, from the closer position to the outside, you can just click swap here on the swap button. And now you can see that the green square is going to be the one that is close, and the red one is going to be the one that is bigger. And that's because the beginning, again, is the green one, and the red one is going to be the end. So now I can change it back, and now the dynamic zoom is going to be from my face to the outside. There you go. There you go. So normally I kind of use this too in conjunction with the jump cuts. So normally I do a zoom in, jump cut, then a very hard zoom. So for example, I don't use dynamic zoom when I really want to make a call out on a portion of my video. So for example, let me show you what I do. So here in the video, what I'm saying is Hollywood writers are doing a great job at this. Again, I'm talking on this video about Hollywood strategies to keep people engaged. So I want to make an emphasis on that portion, that you can steal that for your own benefit. So what I say there is are doing a great job at this. So I want to create an emphasis on that phrase. So normally what I do is I bring a text to this, to the timeline. Bringing text is super simple. You go to the left, you will see the titles options, and you have a lot of titles. Again, once you move the mouse over the title, you will see the preview of that title. Super useful. So for example, this one right here, you can see the animation, scale up, lower third, simple box number 2. There are tons of titles pre-built in DaVinci Resolve. You can download more. You can find in Google, but normally I just use the ones that comes with DaVinci. To be honest, they're great. So once you bring your title to your timeline, I'm actually going to be using the text one. It's the most basic one. Doesn't have transitions, fade ins, fade out, doesn't have anything. I'm just going to be using the text, which is the most simple one. And I drag and drop it to the portion that I want. So here I'm saying they're doing a great job at this. So I'm going to be clicking the new text title we bring to the timeline in the second video track. And on the title options here on the right, you will see everything in terms of the text that you can change. The font family, the color, the shadow, what have you, everything you can control here. So I'm going to say great job at this. So what I'm saying on the video is that screenwriters are doing a great job at this. So I want this to appear when I say that. The other thing I'm going to change is the font family. Now, if you see my YouTube videos, you will see I normally use the same font. It's like, I don't know, something that I like. It kind of expresses what I like. So I normally use the same font on most of my videos, and the font is Humane. But you can see DaVinci Resolve have all of your computer fonts available there. And now I can make the size bigger. There you go. I'm going to make a zoom in this. You can see it. And now I can change if I wanted left align, right align. I'm going to put it left align. And I'm going to change the color. Normally I use like a yellow color, like a yellow gold color. That's the one I like. And it looks like it looks really nice. And now I can change the position, go into the properties settings, and I can just use the Y axis and the X axis to put it where I want it. So for example, here, I like it there. So now that I'm talking, I have the dynamic zoom and the jump cut, and then great job at this. Now, if you want it to appear like somebody is typing or just great and then job and then at this, you can just make separate titles for each one and make them appear the way you want. And actually, I like to do that. So it doesn't show everything at once. Great job at this. I want great job at this to appear at the same moment that I'm saying that. So all I'm going to do is just make a copy of this text. And actually what I'm going to do is use the clone option. And the way you use clone is by keeping the option keyboard pressed, and then you move the video and that creates like a copy of what you have already. Or you can just do Control-C or Command-C or Command-B to copy and paste. That's probably the easiest one. But again, I use a lot of the clone. So on this one, I'm just going to change it to have great. So this just great is going to appear. And then I'm going to show the job. So I'm going to remove everything and just keep job. And then another one that is going to be at this. So it's going to be great job at this. And I'm going to change it to at this. And now all I have to do is make them appear in the way that I want. I'm going to put them all at once because I want them to see how they're going to look. So I'm first going to click on the first one, so I can move it to the upper portion. Great. Now I'm going to click job. It's going to stay there. And then at this, I'm going to move it down below. Just like that. It looks pretty nice. So now I'm going to be putting great job at this. So if we click the video, great job at this. So as you can see, they all come in separately. So all I have to do is now move each of these one to its own layer, move this one so it stays all the way into the timeline. And now great job at this. Now that was a bit slow, so I'm actually gonna make them appear faster in the timeline like this. Great job at this. There you go. So they all appear in different tracks in my timeline because I want them to stay all together. So the phrase is really important for me to showcase. Now, other cool thing you can do is zoom in into the video every time I say a word. So when I say great, a bit of zoom. When I say job, a bit of zoom. And then at this, another bit of zoom. So all I do is pretty much just make a cut on each of those portions. So if I know that in this specific moment the word great is going to appear, I make a cut there. So I use the B button, make a cut, move the playhead to the next one where job is going to appear, make another cut, and then when the at this is going to appear, another cut. And then I'm going to make a cut here at the end where everything fades away. So first portion is where I say great, I'm going to make a zoom. Then the other portion, when I say job, I'm going to make a higher, sorry, not that one. I'm going to make a higher zoom on that one. And then when I say at this, it's going to be a very awkward zoom to my face like this. So let's play it. They're doing a great job at this. And then I'll go back. So now what I do is I put a sound effect to each of these moments. Now, I share on the chat the ones that I'm going to be using. So you make sure to download it. There is this one that's called pop. It sounds like, that's how it sounds. So you can use that one. So all I'm going to do is drag and drop that pop effect and make sure I zoom in where each word appears. So there you go. Here you can see the waveform of the pop. That sounds like that. And I want it to match where I make the cut and where the text appears over there. I'm going to remove all of this because it's unnecessary. And now I'm going to do the same, make a clone. So it appears on the second word, which is here. Let me zoom in. There you go, over there. And then another copy here. So it's going to be every time that the word appears, there's going to be a zoom and it's going to sound. So what is happening in the video, I'm saying Hollywood screenwriters are making a great job at this. And every time I say great job at this, it sounds. And then once I zoom out and the words disappear, I'm going to be adding another one. So I make another clone, put it right over there when the words disappear, and I make the zoom out, and there you go. It's ready. Great job at this. And then it fades away. And now when I fade away, I make another dynamic zoom, just like the one that I did. So it keeps the video interesting. So if we play it, it's going to be every DevRel content creator is looking for the best way to engage with their audiences, and we can all agree that Hollywood scriptwriters are doing a great job at this. So I'm going to give you 6 tips you can steal from Hollywood movies and start using it today. So that's the intro of my video. Super small, and that's all I wanted to edit. And that's it. Obviously, I keep on this process for hours, but that's the way I do it. And it's been like an hour already. I don't feel how time passes. If you guys feel that this is good enough for you, let me know in the chat, but I'm just going to stay editing. So if you want to stay around, feel free to stay. Let's go to the color grading, because I saw Diego was asking that on the chat about color grading. So how to make this video look good? Because right now it looks like flat. The colors are flat. It doesn't look nice. If you use the Blackmagic Cinema Camera app on your phone and you use Apple Lock color signs, it'll probably look like this. If you use your standard just camera in your phone, it's not going to look like this. But if you want to make adjustments, you can still go to the color page and make some changes. Now the color page it's kind of similar to the timeline, because the timeline is a layered kind of way of work. In the color page is similar. It's also with layers. So, but you have an input and then you have an output. The input is going to be your source, and then you can make transformations, and then you have an output. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we go to the color page. I'm not going to be talking about Fusion. Maybe I will at the end. If you guys want to see how I do a magic mask, I can show you, but it's up to you. I'm going to be making a video separately just for magic mask because it's so powerful. We can mask people, things, move them, put text behind me, put things in front of me, make animations. It's pretty crazy, very useful. But anyway, here's the color page. The first thing you will notice is you have your videos. You know, these are the videos that I had on my timeline. Something that I normally do, and I forgot to tell at the beginning, is if I make a video, a color correction, I normally try to do it at the beginning before I start making cuts, because every cut creates a separate video on the timeline. So that means that if I select the video here, every change I'm going to be doing to the color of this video is going to be just happening on that specific track, not happening on all of the videos. So normally you want that to happen on most of the videos, right? So depending where you're editing, you want to apply the same color signs to most of the videos, but we can easily just copy and paste what you do on what video to another video. I mean, that's fine. So you select a video on the timeline. Here you get like a snapshot of your timeline. Here you see this blue color here. This blue line is my timeline. It's like a very small snapshot of my timeline. So once you click any of the videos, you will see the nodes. That's where I said about the input and the output. Normally, DaVinci Resolve will give you one node for color correction. You can add as many nodes as you want. Now, if we talk about color grading, I can get very picky about color correction. Like, that's the portion that I'm really passionate about. And I've worked on, for example, I can show you the feature film that I'm doing for a documentary I recorded in Japan with my wife. We were there for a long time and we documented everything. It's like an hour and a half documentary film. And I'm being really strict about the color because I want it to look like an actual film. I'm giving it a film look. So normally a big project will have a lot of color nodes, but all you care about right now is making your video look good. So the first thing is to make a video look good is you want to achieve the color the same way it looks as the way it was recorded at that moment. What I mean is you don't want to start making color changes to something that it doesn't look like the way it was shot at that moment. You want to first match how things looked at that moment, and then you apply color changes. You do color gradings. You can apply other color signs. You can maybe make it more greener, maybe wash the colors away. You can apply lots even, but right after you make things look as the way it looked at the moment it was recorded. So normally, if you're not shooting on a log color signs, you don't have to care about this. You just grab your phone, open your camera, and you record yourself. Hey, I'm Kevin. I'm doing a video, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to care about that because the color is already applied to the video. So you don't have to care about that. You can start making changes on your video right away. But what I'm saying is, I have to make that change first. So the way I do this is super simple. All I click is add another node, another serial node. And that's going to be like my end node. This is going to be my last node. I can add more nodes in between. But all I want you to know is that this node here is going to be my last node. And here I find for something called color space transform. Now, everything you see here on the right are color effects or color generation or color what have you. They're color tools made for colors only. So I'm going to bring the color space transform into that node. And once I do that, the settings are going to showcase here. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the footage that I recorded with my iPhone. And I'm going to tell DaVinci, hey, DaVinci, turns out that video was recorded with an iPhone that was using Apple Lock-C. So please change it to look normal. That's what I'm going to be telling. So the input color space is going to be Rec 2020 because that's what Apple is using for the color space. And then the input gamma is going to be Apple Lock. So once I change that, you can see how the color changes on my video. Now it looks good. It looks normal. It looks like the way it looked when I was shooting. And it's because I'm telling DaVinci Resolve, hey, DaVinci, I made this video with my with my iPhone. And it turns out that iPhone uses this color space and uses this logarithmic gamma. And DaVinci Resolve will say, oh, now I understand what you shoot on that moment, so let me transform that to a more accurate color space. And now you can see this, it looks way more normal, we can say that way. So I'm not going to go into much details about why this is important, but in a much creative space, normally if you have a video that has a higher color spectrum, you have more space to work. So normally I will be editing my videos on a higher spectrum of color. Rec 709, which is what TVs and every display phone or something is normally using, is a spectrum of the color that is much limited compared to other gamuts of colors. So for example, DaVinci White gamut or ARRI Alexa or what have you. So long story short, you can edit your videos on a much higher color spectrum and get more colors to work with, and then you just output it to whatever color space you want. And that's what I'm doing right here. Now, this might sound too technical. I don't want to overload you with this information. So if you feel that this is too much, don't worry, I just finished. But if you care about this, we can talk about it later on. So now corrections. All the corrections you might do, you can do it on the first node. Normally, I will create a node for each correction. One's for the white balance, one for the curves, one for the exposure, etc. But I'm not going to go into details about this because it might be too technical for you. You can just do it on the first node. And what I want you to know about it is that everything you care probably is on this left pane down below here. These color wheels you'll see here, one is called lift, the other one is called gamma, the other one is called gain, and the last one is called offset. Also, you have down below and upper, you have some controls about the temperature, the contrast, the highlights, the color boost, the saturation, and the shadows. That's probably where you're going to be working. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed about all of these tools right here. I can elaborate more on this about later on. They're super useful, but all you care is this pane right here. The primary is color wheels. So what did they mean? So let's take a look at my video. I like how it looks. The color process of a video is a very creative process. I'm not going to tell you something look bad with words. Depends on the creativity or the vision of the director, of the vision you're trying to achieve, or the feelings you're trying to achieve. For example, if you want the video to generate certain feelings, you can use certain colors to evocate those feelings. For example, if your video is talking about something that can be, let's say you're talking about a problem you're trying to solve. You're talking about a problem. You can use more, like blue colors to make the video seem a little bit more dark and blue. And then if you're talking about something like a transformation of the journey or the hero journey, you can use colors that are more warm colors, like more oranges and things like that. You can change the color spectrum or the way something looks by using these primary wheels. Long story short. Now, if things looks good for you, I will say don't touch it. Just export it the way it is, and that's it. That's fine. But if you want to play around, don't be afraid. You can choose everything, put everything back to how it was, and you're not going to screw anything up. So what are these things right here? The lift, as basically the shadows, are basically those tones in your videos that are dark. You will see this wheel here. So if you push it to the right, you will see that the shadows are going to go up. So you can see that my video now looks super bright, but what I'm doing is pushing my shadows to the top. And if I decrease it, I'm going to be pushing my shadows closer to 0. That's the scope of my video. So normally, if you think you have information on the shadows you want to recover, you want to push the shadows a bit further. If you think it looks good and the shadows looks good, don't touch it. That's fine. Then you have the gain. The gain is it's next to the gamma. I'm going to talk about the gain and then about the gamma. The gain is the opposite. The gain is the highlights, and you can do the same. I can push the highlights all the way that I want, and what it's going to be doing is pushing the portion of the color of the video that are close to the highlights. It's not going to be touching the low lights, which is the lift. shows the gain. So for example, you had a video that is overexposed. Let's say you are recording a video on the outside. It was super sunny, it looks super bright, and you want to lower the highlights without affecting the shadows. You can reduce the gain. So for example, let's say this video I recorded like this. It was a problem I did, something I did incorrectly. I was outside, it was super sunny, it looked bad. I can just reduce my highlights so it looks more normal. Or for example, if you were shooting maybe a video about it's outside and you're recording maybe a building and it's very sunny and the building looks good, but the sun is just hitting too much. So what you want to do is expose to the sun, and then you can add more information on the shadows. And what is the gamma? The gamma is everything in between the shadows and the highlights. So it's the midtones. So in this case, you're not going to be pushing the shadows or the highlights, just the midtones. Also, let's talk about the contrast. The contrast is a very important portion of your video, and it basically defines how much information you're going to be pushing towards the spectrum of the scope. So for example, if you reduce the contrast, you will see that the color will be less strong, and you will have the spectrum of your video to be more compressed in terms of the colors. If you make it higher, you're going to see more that the waveform is going to expand further on the color spectrum of your video. So you will see more, you will be increasing more on the shadows and the highlights, but that's one of the results of increasing the contrast. So let's try it out and see how it actually looks. If I increase my contrast, you can see that the highlights are going up and the shadows are going down. So I'm clipping my shadows, I'm clipping my highlights, and it looks super weird. But depending on the effect you want to do it, maybe you want to do this. I mean, it's just a tool. Normally, I don't really touch a lot of the contrast. It's just, if I really need it, I do it. But what's going to be happening is you're going to be clipping a lot on the shadows and on the highlights, and I don't really like that. Or if you want to educate something that is less contrast, like I don't know, maybe like a past video, something from the past, you can reduce the contrast, you can reduce the saturation, and make it look like something from the past. Maybe you're recording a memory. Oh, I remember when I was a young, blah, blah, blah. You can reduce the contrast, reduce the saturation, and now your video looks like as a bit old. But again, it all depends on your creative process. I mean, I'm not going to say something is bad or wrong. It's just the way it is. And then you have the offset. Turns out the offset touches everything. Highlights, lowlights, midtones, etc. So it's just going to push everything up or everything down. And I normally don't use offset a lot, but you can use the offset if you want. Now, as you can see, you have color wheels on each of these values. So now you can not only increase the hue, like the amount of light on each of those spectrums, like the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights. Turns out you can change the color approach to each of those values. So for example, one thing people use a lot is something called the orange. What's the name? I forgot about it. Something that people have been using a lot. Let me see if I can find the name around here. The teal and orange. Yeah, teal and orange is like a color filter people apply that is kind of used in Hollywood, but now people are using it and thinking that looks like cinematic just because they are using teal and orange. But teal and orange, basically what it does is it uses blue colors on the low lights and more warm yellowish red colors on the highlights because they are contrast colors in the color wheel. So it gives that blue and teal and orange kind of effect to your videos. So let me give you an example. Here on the left, which is my low lights, I can grab the point in the center, which right now is in the center of the color wheel. It's not going to be going through any color. I can move it to the blue tones, which are on the right. As you can see in the color wheel, you have reds on the upper left side. Then you have more like purple. Then you go to blue. Then you go to green and yellow. That's the color wheel. You can move it. So let me move my low lights to the blue zone. And you can see how if I go very crazy with this, my low lights are going to go to the blue area. So if I make it very subtle, I move my shadows to the blue area, and then I go to the highlights and I move it to the opposite, which is the left side, to my orange and red portion. I'm going to be achieving the orange and teal. And I can even make it higher, maybe make this more warm and the low lights more bluish. And there you go. That's a teal and orange. Over there, we just apply a filter. That's like one of the filters that most of the people use and think looks cinematic, but that's the teal and orange. But at the end, what I'm telling you is that each of the wheels that you have in DaVinci Resolve, you can not only change the amount of light on each of those elements, the shadows, the highlights, and the midtones, you can also change the color that is going to be in being more used on that specific spectrum of the color on your video. So all of these are tools. I'm not going to be telling you something looks bad or not. Like, actually, this looks pretty interesting to me. It looks like I don't know, it looks interesting, but I'm not going to keep it like that. I'm just going to be putting everything back to where it was. And maybe add a bit of highlights here. And maybe I can also add a bit of color boost. The shot overall is very pink, and that's because I have this pink light here that I normally use to create some contrast on my face, like you know, on my face, but it kind of affects the whole shot. As you can see, the desk looks kind of pink, and also the wall looks pink. So what I want to do is reduce the pink colors on my video. So for that, I'm going to be using the offset, which is affecting the entire image. So if everything is kind of turned to the purple color, I'm going to go the opposite way in the color wheel. So if the purple-ish is on the right top on the color wheel, I'm going to move the offset to the opposite, which is like the greenish colors. And you will see that once I do that, let me go crazy with it. It goes like super green. It looks like Matrix, which is kind of cool. But I want it to be subtle because I want to reduce the amount of pink on my video. I mean, that's up to me. If it looks good to you, you can leave it like that. But if I move my color wheel in the offset to be more to the green tones, you can see that the pink colors are being reduced. Now the desk on this video looks more white because my desk is white, and now the wall looks less pink, and I like that. I don't want any color to really surface. I want things to be very subtle on my video. But if you want to, you know, highlight something in your video, you can use this. So at the end, this is what the color page is. It's huge. This is just a tip of the iceberg. We can go to the curves. We can talk about the color warper. We can talk about the qualifier, which is super useful. Like if you want to just touch the colors on my face, I can just make a qualifier to touches or separate just the tones on my face, and I can make my face to be in a different color maybe. I can also use here the window. So for example, let's say that I want sorry, the guitar portion to be more green. I can create a window here. So for example, I can make it I can drag another node here. Let me create another node, and in this node I'm going to be creating a not a circle, actually a square qualifier here, sorry, window. And I'm just going to be grabbing the portion where the guitar is shown because I want the guitar to be more green. Like I want to highlight my guitar. Super cool, you know. Why would I keep it so dark? So I'm going to create just a window for this specific portion of my video, and on this I can make changes on the color because this is just going to be touching that portion of the video. So I can increase the highlights, the shadows to pop it up. I can increase the color boost, I can increase the saturation, and then I can make it more soft so it doesn't look like weird on my video. So I can soften the edges so it doesn't look weird. So now once I go back, my guitar just pop up. And if I turn it off, you can see, turn it on and off, I can see that the guitar now looks, you know, I kind of pop that portion out. So, and the way I did it is with this window right here. And I can explain further how we can track So let's say that the video moves and I want to track the guitar along the video. That's very easy to achieve. And then you have the tracker. That's what we will use in this case. You have the magic mask, which is what I was telling you. I can show you later on another video. But I think we have been here, what, hour and a half? Wow, that's a lot of time. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So I think I'm going to cut it up here because you might be tired, but I see around 15 people on the live stream. Wow. To be honest, 15 people for the first video being an hour and a half, just editing videos, I think that's a good result for me. I'm happy about it. So I'm going to stop here, but at the end, all I want to show you is the deliver. So let's say I want to export this video to upload it to YouTube or what have you. I'm just going to export the video of the portion that I edited, just this. So I'm going to also use the I and O button to define the beginning of and the end of my video. Oh, another thing, how I apply this. So this looks good, but all my other videos looks bad. Well, super simple. Control C or Command C and Command B. Just Control or Command B, Command C, sorry, and Command B. Just copy and paste. So I paste everything and that's it. Now, if you make changes to one, then that's not going to apply to all of the other ones. So keep that in mind. What you could do is an adjustment layer and apply the adjustment layer to all of them, but we can talk about later on because that's a whole different topic. So the deliver, I'm going to just export this portion, which is what we edited, the first 16 seconds. I mean, this video has been chosen for the first 15 seconds of my video. Here on the left, we have predefined presets, and they work fine. I will encourage you to use the predefined presets. If you're loading to YouTube, use the predefined YouTube 1080p, or you can use the predefined YouTube 4K or the predefined 1440p. Same for Twitter or TikTok. The predefined ones work pretty well. But if you want to make a custom export, here you define where the location is going to be, where it's going to be stored. I'm going to put it on my just desktop. And then you come here to the video tab. Here you have the ability to define the format of the video. If it's going to be MP4, DXP, JPEG, QuickTime, that's up to you. For me, normally if I'm uploading to YouTube, what I do is I use the YouTube preset. But if I'm pushing a video that is higher quality, like the film that I'm doing, normally I do Apple ProRes. So I normally do Apple ProRes 422, and this is going to be a huge file. Like it's going to be super, a very big file. It's going to take a lot of time to export, but it's going to have a lot of quality on the video. And if you upload it to YouTube, it's going to look really nice. Actually, I export my AppSmith videos in this format, Apple ProRes 422. I know it's overkill, but if you go to AppSmith on the YouTube AppSmith and you'll see my videos, you will see my videos looks really nice. They look sharp. If you put it in 4K, it looks super nice. And it's because I exported in Apple ProRes. But a video for social media like YouTube Shorts or like for Instagram, MP4 should be fine. What type of codec, H.265 or H.264? There's a lot of conversations on this topic. People fight over this. Just leave it H.264. H.265 can be better, but some platforms doesn't support it yet. So you make a transformation and the video is going to look shitty. Keep it to H.264. On network optimization, I normally turn it off if I want a good quality video. If I'm uploading a video for social media, I also turn it off. So normally keep it off. And then you define your resolution. This is cool because you could have a video on a higher resolution to be exported on a lower resolution. So normally I edit on 4K, but I make an export maybe on HD or 720p. You can do that here. You can define the resolution of the outcome of the video. This is not going to impact the actual timeline. Then the quality, you can leave it automatic. We can make a whole, I'm going to make a whole video about exporting because each of these preferences, changing those affects the video result. So I will say keep everything as it is, but if you want to tweak it, like you can restrict it to, normally I make it 90K kilobytes per second. That's a good kilobytes per second in the quality. It's going to give you a very nice result video, but again, videos will be super, super heavy. or just keep it to automatic. That's fine. The encoding profile, I also keep it to auto, or you can make it high to have better resolution or better quality. And what type of entropy mode, again, just leave it as it is. Probably it's going to look good. It's going to look nice. Then the audio, normally I try to work on a constant bit rate. Yeah, normally I work on a constant bit rate. 320 kilobytes per second is good enough, and don't touch anything here. You could change it to another mechanism to use depth, but that's a whole different video. Again, I'm not going to talk about this. And now it looks good. All you have to do is click this button here, add to the render queue. You click it, and on the right, you will see the render queue. And all you have to do is click render all. Now, I'm not going to render this video right now because it's going to take a lot of the GPU on my computer. So maybe the stream will probably be broken. But all you have to do is click render, and the video will be rendered, and you will be able to export that video and give it a shot. Normally, I will tell you explore, make a test, change the quality of the video, change the codec to H.265, H.264, change it to QuickTime, Apple ProRes, depend on what you're trying to achieve. Play around with it, don't be scared, export many versions, try to put it on your phone and see how it looks. DaVinci Resolve also has an application for your mobile phone. That one is available for Android and iPhone called DaVinci Monitor, which means that you can watch the video on your phone without even exporting it. And it kind of gives you a sense on how the video is going to look. It's going to look good. Maybe you can change the format or the colors. Because again, if you're not on a calibrated monitor with a actual, like a P3 monitor graded, you're not going to have a very good color science. I don't think any of you have a calibrated, graded Hollywood monitor. They're extremely expensive, so I don't expect you to deliver those type of things. And you might see that your videos looks good on your editor, and once you see it on your phone, oh my God, why the video looks so pink? Or why it looks so green? I moved the green a little bit, and in my computer looked good, but now it turns out that on the phone it looks super green, looks like Matrix. It happens. It happens all the time, and it happens to a lot of people. Unless you are on a color calibrated monitor, you're not going to get the final result. TVs have their own color science. Samsung TVs are super saturated. Normally, when I export a video and I go on my Samsung TV, it looks super saturated. So I try to keep like a balance. But long story short, test it out. Test it out. Don't feel bad if your results looks bad at the beginning. Just try it out, upload it to YouTube, see how it looks, make some tests, or ask me some question if you need guidance. I will be more than happy to answer your questions. But again, I think that's it for now. You have any questions? Anyone in the chat? Any questions? I see some people on YouTube. I see some people on LinkedIn, some people on Twitter. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat. Or if you want to learn something, like next week, I'm going to be live as well. So if you want to see something next week, let me know. But if not, what can I say to end this thing? Just try it out. Download DaVinci Resolve. It's free. Bring your videos. If you record it on your phone, that's fine. Bring it to DaVinci Resolve. If you have an external camera, great. If you bring your videos and you don't know how to make the color space transform because you don't know what type of vlog is, shoot me a message. I can help you, or just Google it. Like if you have a Sony camera, for example, Sony cameras can be very cheap. You can buy a Sony camera, and but you shoot on log and you don't know what type of log they use. You can Google it, or you can just ask me a question. Hey, I have this camera. What type of log should I use in the color space transform? Or I'm trying to achieve this transition. What type of transition can I use on DaVinci Resolve? Or what type of text animation can I do? How can I make subtitles? That's also on my YouTube channel right now. So go to YouTube as well and subscribe. So anyway, I don't see any questions in the chat. So I think I'm going to cut it short here. Well, not short, actually. It's been quite long. So I think that's it for now. What about that? I think that was a good beginning. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much, everyone. I don't know if you're still watching this, or if you're watching afterwards. Just shoot me a message on YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or whatever of these different platforms I'm at. And yeah, This is just a tool. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, the video I started editing today is going to be airing, and I'm going to be publishing that video for anyone who wants to use certain Hollywood techniques and cinematography techniques that you can apply to your day-to-day videos. We're going to talk about some stuff. You will see the video. It's very interesting. And that's it for now. Well, thank you so much. See you in the next one. Stay real and peace.